So in this lab here, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be trying to measure the enthalpy involved in the combustion of calcium. Now, we can't actually do the combustion of calcium in the lab. What we can do in the lab, though, is we can figure out the enthalpy associated with the formation of calcium hydroxide. So we're going to use our calorimeter. Our first reactant in our reaction is going to be water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure out what I'm hoping is 50 mils of water. So I'm going to show you my graduated cylinder. I'm going to let that set. You can see that we ended up pretty much right on the line. If you take a look at the bottom of that meniscus, it's right touching that bottom line of 50 mils of water. So remember, 1 mil is equal to 1 gram. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my 50 mils of water to my calorimeter. So notice here that my calorimeter is nice and it's insulated. So when I add my 50 mils of water, most of the energy within the water is trapped within the center cup. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the lid back on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this sit for a minute because I want to take my initial temperature of my water. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 1/2 gram of calcium. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take paper towel here. Got my paper towel. I'm going to put my paper towel onto my balance. So let me pick up my phone so you can see it. So I've got my paper towel on my phone and I've gone ahead and I'm going to zero my balance. This is actually the most sensitive balance we have in the school, so it's good, but if you kind of breathe on it, it goes the wrong way. And I'm going to use my scopula to measure out 1/2 gram of calcium. So, this is tough with one hand. So remember, we're going for 1/2 gram. Maybe I'll do this. That's easier. Oh, too much. Okay, so we're gonna stop here. I went over 1/2 gram. This is why you always use a scopula, that's okay. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to record this as our mass of calcium. So we've got 0.77 grams of calcium. Let's make sure it stopped, 0.7, nope. Okay, 0.75. So we're gonna record it as 0.75 grams of calcium. Let's put this back here. In the meantime, we've got our 0.75 grams of calcium. We're gonna take our calorimeter closer. Let's pick my phone up so you can see. And we wanna see what the initial temperature of our water is. So let's go to this side so you can get a nice look. Let's focus this here. So you can see that my initial temperature of water, if I'm looking at it, is 23 degrees. So if I'm looking at my initial temperature of water, folks, what if I move out? There we go. You can see that it's pretty much right on 23 degrees exactly. So my initial temperature of 23 degrees. So I'm gonna put my phone back here. You've got a nice little view of our calorimeter. If I do this, right? Let's pick this up a little bit. There we go. So you can see if that temperature is going to raise for me or not. And we're going to go ahead, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my lid off my calorimeter. And I'm going to go ahead and you're going to see me add my 50 grams of calcium, or my 0.75 grams of calcium to my calorimeter. I'm going to replace the lid. Let's go back in a frame that you can see now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly use my stir stick here and I'm going to mix my reaction. So this stir stick is allowing me to go ahead to mix my reactants. My one reactant is calcium, my other reactant is water, and what I'm doing is I'm forming calcium hydroxide. If I take a look inside, I can see that the reaction is happening because I can see that I'm forming hydrogen gas as well too. I can see the actual bubbles escaping. So I can still see it bubbling. So that means I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let this reaction continue to take place. As soon as I no longer see bubbling, then I know my reaction is stopped. And I want to go ahead and I want to grab my final temperature as well too. So let's turn it maybe this way a little bit so you can see whether or not our temperature is increasing or not. I'm going to keep mixing it. I can still see some solid calcium in there, so it's not totally dissolved yet. All right, and we're gonna see if we had a temperature change. If I take a look at my thermometer, I can see that my temperature has now changed to 24.5 degrees Celsius. Let's keep mixing it, see if this is gonna go up anymore. All right, almost all my calcium's dissolved. Let's see. We're up to 25 grams. So I don't know if you can see it from there. We didn't focus so well last time, but my thermometer has now read to 25 degrees Celsius. So my temperature has increased. So my final temperature in this case is going to be 25 degrees Celsius. I can now use my mass of my water, my mass of my calcium, my initial temperature of my water, and my final temperature of my water in order to determine what my delta HX value for this reaction is gonna be. I can then use my chart that's in your homepage to figure out the delta H value of my second half reaction. I can go ahead and I can combine my two half reactions to get my target reaction, which in this case would be the combustion of calcium. So make sure that you check the written instructions I provided for you as well too. The written instructions are going to be a great way for you to see these values as well. Email me with any questions, and good luck.